What's happening, weirdos? This is a very, very special episode. Stephen Wright, a hero of mine, a hero of comedy, and just a delightful, wonderful, warm, smart, brilliant, genius comedian who I got the privilege of sitting down with. We talk about it in the episode, but I just was flying out of Boston, where we are both from, and I saw him at the airport. And I walked up to him, and that's not entirely like me. But I reminded him that we had done a show together, and we started talking and laughing, and we were on the same flight going to LA and talked a little bit more. And I just took a shot. We were really vibing. So I was like, "Would you want to do my podcast?" And here we are. But we talk about that. That's unlike, in a way, both of us. Certainly for him. He said that's not normal for him, but something about it. We were vibing and enjoying each other, and that's what you're about to hear is us, again, vibing and enjoying, and I'm so glad that you're here. Such an interesting conversation. A little bit shorter than a normal episode for us, but so much is packed into it, and I'm thrilled. You know, as somebody, my brother-in-law, Derek, sent me how AI can, make podcasts now, which I think is very, very interesting, and they kind of mimic a classic style. Like there's one person who's kind of more colorful and there's one person who's kind of agreeing and a little more subdued. And it was a phenomenon. I'm not taking anything away from that. But when I did this episode that you're about to hear, I was like, look, say what you want, but AI will never make an episode like this. There's something new happening. It's not it's not two LA guys doing an LA podcast and knowing what that sounds like and doing an impression of it. It's something new. It was a different flavor. It was a different rhythm and a different vibe. And I left just feeling really fed and full and happy. So I'm glad you're here to check it out. I don't think Stephen has anything to plug. I'm going to look up his website. I think you can follow him on Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, Stephen Wright. Steven for his tour dates, and it's stephenwright.com. Look, I'll just click on it right now. Who cares? Who even cares? Yeah. Oh, that's right. He has a new book out that is wonderful. He's a fiction writer called Herald, and it is available now wherever or whomever you get your book. So check out Herald. He is an incredible writer, obviously of stand-up, but also of fiction. So check out the novel Herald, available StephenWright.com or wherever you get your books. And if you'd like, I am touring currently. I saw Stephen is not touring currently. I think he's taking a little break. But I am going to be in Indianapolis this weekend. I think there's a few tickets left. December 11th, I'll be here in Los Angeles at Largo. Always the highlight of my month. The last couple shows have been amazing. Seattle on December 19th. Portland, I'm happy to say both shows are sold out. Thank you to everybody that's coming out to that. Same for Eugene, Oregon, but then Salt Lake City just announced in January, then Phoenix, Arizona in February. Hope to see you at some of those guys. Go to PeteHolmes.com for tickets. Oh, I forgot to say, we usually do the ads after some of the episode, but because this one is shorter, I'm going to do them up top here. This episode is brought to us by our friends at Hostage Tape. It has absolutely changed my life. Maybe you've seen it online. It's mouth tape because you should be doing nose breathing. Why? When I sleep, 20% more oxygen, reduces the risk of sleep apnea. It really helps with snoring, in my case, eliminating it entirely. It even helps with oral hygiene and bad breath. Last time I went to the dentist, they asked me, are you a nose breather or a mouth breather? They want you to be a nose breather, especially during those 8 hours while you were asleep. So Hostage Tape, mouth tape has made my sleep so much deeper. I thought it would make me feel claustrophobic or trapped. It is not that way at all. You put it over your mouth. For some reason, your brain just gets the message. The bridge is closed, take the tunnel. Or the tunnel is closed, take the bridge. If you like the bridge nose pun there. Immediately made my sleep so much better, so much deeper. How do I know? I feel fantastic in the morning and I dream so much more. And you only dream when you're in that good REM sleep. Hostage Tape, I tried it once and I'm hooked for life. Other brands, by the way, for some reason, I tried a different brand of hostage tape years ago. It smelled like chemicals. It didn't come off easily in the morning. They've dialed it in. It's high quality. It doesn't stink. It feels great, and it comes off easily in the morning. The official sleep aid of UFC for a reason. So you can get a 6-month supply for $99. That's saving $50 when you go to hostagetape.com/weird. This is the only place where you can get this deal for the 6-month bundle of hostage tape. Go to hostagetape.com/weird and sleep better tonight. We're also brought to you. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. How are you guys staying cozy now that it's the winter? Some people watch Love Actually. Some people watch The Family Stone. Some people sit by a fire with a cup of cocoa. Well, therapy is a great way to bring yourself some comfort that never goes away, even when the seasons change. And if you're like me, around the winter time, around the holiday time can be a psychologically complicated time for me. That's when a lot of feelings kick up, and talk therapy is how I have coped and dealt and learned to manage and navigate those complicated feelings. So BetterHelp is a wonderful way to try therapy if you've been thinking of giving it a try. We talk about therapy on the show all the time. It's changed my life. It can help you through relationships, romantic relationships, relationships with family members, work, give you that boost to help you know what you need, what you're lacking, and what you need to do to get what you're after. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. You can even switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. So find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/weirdo. Today they get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/weirdo. And in the meantime, enjoy my chat with the wonderful, one of my heroes, Stephen Wright. Get into it. Stephen Wright, I'm really honored. I'm not just saying that to have you on the show. Can we say how this came about?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yes. It was only like 2 days ago, right?
Dude, I did an event that night, and I was in Boston this morning because I was like, why am I so tired? So it's like 6 o'clock in Ojai in California. I'm like, I'm so tired. I was like, oh, right, I was in Boston this morning. I was like, for hundreds of years, if you had said that, that's witchcraft. You're in California at 5 o'clock, and you're like, I was in Boston this morning.
Yeah.
They would have killed you for that. That would have been a death offense. So it's very unnatural and very strange that I saw you 2 days ago in Boston.
Yeah, it is. In fact, I was telling a friend of mine, just for amusement, I said, Frank, you know what? I'm not going to travel anymore. And why? It has nothing to do with that I don't want to go to the next place. I don't want to go 500 miles an hour anymore. I don't think it's right. Somehow it's, even though it's safe and everything, it's like basically wrong. Like,
Going 500 miles an hour
and saying,
not right.
Yes, can I have another Coke, please?
Yeah.
I'm not really saying that I'm not going to do that, but you just don't think of everything is accepted.
No. I like to say we don't belong up there.
Yeah.
We're sitting in the sky.
It's
like
wrong.
Greek gods. And it's so calm. You know what I think is so funny? I almost said this to you before our flight. So we ran into each other at the airport. And I was going to tell you this bit before we got on the plane, but I didn't want to put it in our minds. But I was like, it's so funny when there's a little turbulence, we're so put out. Like that, our flight was a little bumpy. And I was like aghast. I was like, can't they find smooth air? Given what they're doing, the whole flight should be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's insane that it's smooth, and we expect it to be smooth. We want to sleep. We want to be fed. We want to be entertained. We don't want to even think about the miracle that's happening. And if there's a little bump, I'm a little annoyed. I'm like, what's up with this pilot?
I'm not annoyed by the bumps. I just think it's gonna, as long as it just stays as bumps.
Yeah, of course.
You know?
Right. You said it took you a while to get used to it.
Yeah, many years. So because every little thing was like, in my mind, it was the beginning of a disaster.
Yeah.
But a friend of mine years ago told me she was in Central Park and there was a guy walking with his little boy. The boy was about 4. And the boy pointed up to the sky. There was a plane way up in it. So the plane's like this big. And the boy said, "I'm not going up there." And she told me this.
Yeah.
I know why she told me, because I was like, that is the real logic.
He's right.
He didn't have enough intellect or information to know how it happens or anything.
Yeah.
That's the basic human gut
We don't
reality.
belong up there.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. If I woke you up in the middle of the night, like if you were as naked as you could be in your mind, you'd be like, of course I'm not going in the sky. It takes no thinking to realize that that's wrong.
Yeah, and when he sees it, when you're on the plane, you see it different, of course, because you're in the plane, but his perspective of it being that big, if you thought of his view of it while you were on the plane, you'd be freaking out.
Of course.
Because you're a dot.
Yeah. It's very strange. But you know how this sounds kind of like, I don't want to flatter myself and say it sounds like something you would think, but I had a bet where I was like, people say they're afraid of flying. We're all flying. The planet is flying. It's not tethered to anything. It's flying. It's unsettling, isn't it?
Yes.
It's one of those ones. I knew it when I said it to you. I was like, that's an unsettling thought. And we go gravity, or orbit, all these words that we don't really understand.
Well, it's good that the planet is in a loop.
Yeah.
Because
Oh
I
my
wrote this
God.
book. I wrote a book called Harold. It was about a little boy in 3rd grade and what he thinks about in one day in 3rd grade. And he can't, a 3rd grader wouldn't really be thinking this, but he did point out that if the planet just, because it's like in a cul-de-sac, but
Yes.
if it got out of that thing and just went straight,
Yeah.
that's a whole other thing.
I've never thought about that.
We're lucky that it's in this thing.
Yeah.
It's like a merry-go-round, like
Yeah.
a huge. It's very. Imagine
We know where we're going.
We know the sun up in the year thing every day like that.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
it was just all of a sudden broke out,
Yeah.
imagine it just the screams.
You're absolutely right.
There's no day, no night. It's
Yeah.
either all day, I don't know what it would be, but it wouldn't
Yeah.
be. This is like a pacifier. We should
Yeah.
be grateful that it's caught in this loop.
No, if it wasn't in a loop, that would be a true nightmare. And that's why ancient people really seemed very interested in tracking the stars. You and I, modern humans, don't track the stars. But until we knew, where's this thing going? That was the main human interest. Is like, are we going into the sun? Like, we need to find out. That's why Galileo is way more famous than you or I will ever be. Because we needed Galileo. Now, we live in a Galileo-assumed society. We took his findings, and now we're mad there's a line at Starbucks. Right? We're living on the backs of Galileo. It's absolutely true. But it makes you a little light in the belly to even think. Is that something you don't like to think about? I'm kind of like that.
Think about what?
I don't like really thinking about how we're in outer space. It's unsettling.
My version of it is that I don't like thinking about it is how it can go forever, the infinity. And that's disturbing to me. And how a baby can just grow on its own. A human being is the most complicated machine ever, it's ever on the earth. A human being, and it grows on its own by itself.
Right.
That's. Imagine watering a 747. And then there's a 747.
Like you grew one in the
because you
garden.
put water on it every day.
Right.
And then there's. So.
And it's so much more complicated than a 747. It's wild.
It is. But I think our minds will never know. We just won't know. Like a kid, like a camera, when the camera was film or even digital, a 3-year-old doesn't know how the thing. He knows, he points the thing and then there's a picture. But a 3-year-old doesn't know how the light going in the lens and all that.
Yeah.
But the kid is like 12. You could explain that to him, and then his mind would comprehend. Mm-hmm. So from 3 to 12, 9 years, the brain develops enough for him to understand how the camera works. I think as far as the universe, we're like that 3-year-old. We're as far as the universe operating, we're frozen.
Yeah.
And even if 30 million years go by, I don't think the brain will develop enough to go, oh, yes, now I understand how infinity...
Yeah.
I know what infinity is now.
Right.
We're just stuck.
It can't be housed. The image I like is a light bulb, and if you fed too much light to the bulb, it would just explode. And if you tried to cram infinity into the 4 walls of the brain, it would just explode. It's overwhelming. It's way too much. It's weird that you mentioned that, because I was just thinking about that. I had Penn Jillette on this podcast, and we were talking about consciousness.
Oh, I love him.
I love him too. And he was like, if I had a theory of consciousness, I wouldn't debut it on your podcast. And I thought that was really funny. But I was like, I don't want to have hubris, but I'm sort of like, we're getting right into the philosophy right away. The question for me is, when does the flashlight of awareness point at itself? And is it possible for a knife to cut itself or a light to shine on itself? That's sort of the conundrum. Like the basic phenomenon of experience is that your experience is known, right?
I don't know what you're talking
We're
about.
conscious.
I mean, what you're saying is a knife going to cut itself.
Well, let me get to that. So if you think of yourself as a flashlight, you're pointing your awareness at me right now.
Yeah.
So you see me and you hear me. But the question of consciousness, which is also, I think, linked to infinity, is how do you investigate that which knows? So how do you know? How does the sun shine on itself? Does that make sense? Or the flashlight. Let's stay with the flashlight. How does a flashlight, you're pointing it at me, how does it turn around and look at what knows your experience? That's why it's sort of like a paradox or a riddle that can't be known.
But why would it turn around?
We want to know the nature of consciousness. We want to understand consciousness.
Man, you were way more you're like...
I thought we were having the same conversation.
We were in the beginning.
Well, that's how I comfort myself with infinity, is your awareness also is boundaryless. You know what I mean? It's not like space is the only infinite thing. I can't found a boundary where I end, where my knowing ends. There's no wall that I run into. On the other side, I am not. So space is sort of like my nature. But
space is my nature. Well, I mean, the brain, I think your mind is endless of what it can go in. It can go in, but you don't know what to do with all the information. But that's infinite, the amount of... just thinking one day, all the shit that you put in your head while watching all this hearing, it's it's like as deep as the ocean.
It is.
Then but the processing part of what are you doing with all this, that's not up to the amount.
Yeah.
The amount is it's endless. You're never going to get like full. Full.
That's kind of a fun pivot there, is like, does writing jokes help you make sense of the world? Like frame it a little bit? Because you're talking about all that information and your jokes are so distilled. You're like a restaurant where it's like a little plate, you know what I mean? And somehow it tastes like all of Thanksgiving. Does that help? Is that kind of like a refining process for you?
I mean, the jokes are the jokes. I don't think it's helping deal with the world. No. Really. I mean, it's from noticing. It's all, I think all art, music, books, film, it's from noticing. You're just noticing things and then you're pointing out what you notice. Yeah. That's all of it, I think.
But there seems like a clue to your inner reality, which the reduction of it. There's so much, and you're like, I wonder if I can say something in one, and that seems to be pleasant. Maybe it's not meaning-making, but it's elegant. Is that pleasing to you?
Yes, it's just how it happened. Like, I just learned that to write a joke. With like Woody Allen had a double comedy album, and he had stories, but within the stories he had jokes, and that's how I became aware of a joke, a structure of a joke. Yeah. And then it was like, okay, and then it was like...
Sorry, Stephen, can I pause you? Do you remember the joke that did it for you?
Oh, he had one where he said, we were telling a story, and then in the story he said, then the woman became a streetwalker in Venice, and she drowned.
It's fantastic.
It is. He's the best. He's my hero of comedy.
Yeah.
Him and then George Carlin, but Woody Allen.
Yeah.
Stand up and movies and everything.
I agree. I just watched Anything Else, which I hadn't seen. Have you seen that
No,
Woody
what
Allen
is
movie?
it?
Yeah, it slipped by me as well. It's Jason Biggs, the kid from American Pie. Thought it was very good. I wrote, after I watched that movie, sometimes I'll absorb someone's voice and I'll start writing as them. And I don't want to flatter myself, but I wrote this Woody Allen joke. See if you can fix it, because it's not perfect. I go, I had an out-of-body experience, which felt like a ripoff because I was getting a massage.
That's good.
Right?
Yes.
It kind of touches on his thrifty thing. And
he's the best.
Yeah,
That's good. That's just like one of his jokes.
Well, I appreciate that. Well,
when does that movie come out that you just said?
Early 2000s, I think.
Oh.
It's Christina Ricci as well. It's really good. It was
her,
marketed strangely. I heard Tarantino talking about it being one of his favorite movies of the first 10 years of the 2000s. I was like, I haven't even heard of it. You did a voice in a Tarantino movie.
Yeah, in Reservoir Dogs, yeah.
That was great. Did you get to work with him at all?
Well, he was in there when we were recording the thing.
Okay. Was that fun?
Yeah, he was very passionate, like very excited about what he was doing. I was lucky to be in there.
Yeah.
The editor knew me and suggested me, and Sally Menke was the editor, and she suggested me to be the voice.
Wow.
So, and she said, nobody knows this guy. This is his first movie, but this is going to be, this person is something else. This is a whole other thing.
That's what she said about Tarantino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she was editing that first movie.
Yeah.
And I completely just trusted her. All right, if you feel that way, okay, fine. So,
because that's young Tarantino. I mean, you were with a peak young. I mean, he's an adrenalized person anyway, but it seems like you got the real young and hungry Tarantino. He must have been bouncing off the walls.
Just an excited, very passionate what he was doing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, going back to Woody Allen, we were talking about how you learned to write those jokes, which is, by the way, can I just kind of fluff it a little bit, very interesting to me, because I'm friends with like Dimitri Martin, and I saw Mitch Hedberg, and those guys would all cite you, but I had never even thought of who you would cite as your reference.
I cite Woody Allen and George Carlin, early George Carlin, when he was talking about everyday little tiny things that nobody notices.
Yeah.
And so my main influence was, because that's all of my act is tiny things. I do something different than George Carlin with the way I talk about it, but that was everyday stuff. Okay, I'm going to talk about everyday stuff, little things. I never talked about politics or movie stars or McDonald's, or it was like I had all these rules in my head of not only what to talk about, but what not to talk about. But the thing about the jokes being so small, I mean, I was very introverted. I didn't want to be on stage. People don't want to talk in front of people. Public speaking, as you know, is it's a horrible fear that people have. Yes. And I had it too, but I had this conflict where I wanted to do this thing, so I forced myself. But as far as the joke being short, then the audience would laugh. Let's just talk about stuff that works. You figure out what works. They're laughing in every 10 seconds, which makes it easier to be standing there. You're not standing there for a minute with a setup.
Yeah.
So that was comforting for me. I didn't know that till years later when I looked back on what I was doing. If they were laughing all the time, it was easier to be standing there.
Right.
The public speaking was easier to deal with because they were laughing.
Yes, yes. Well, you prove yourself very quickly. You get that laugh very fast, as opposed to, sweating and meandering. You're like, I'm going to sharpen this to embolden myself to even do it. Right?
Say that again.
Hey, I did say it kind of weird. You were like sharp. I'm looking at your jokes like little bullets, and you're like sharpening them so you could really just get them out fast because you didn't want to be up there. So you're like, let's get to this.
Didn't want to be standing there with them just looking at you, waiting.
Yeah.
It's easier when they were laughing.
Yeah.
And then it was like automatic. How can you get the point across with the fewest amount of words. The fewest amount of words means also they'll get to the laugh quicker. No wasted words.
Yeah.
And when I would think of something, even now, if I think of something, the wording is like within 30 seconds. It's like because it can only be, in my mind, it can only be this one way. There's no versions, and I'll pick that version. It's almost like, I mean, it's like autumn. It's very simple.
Yeah. And it wants, would you say it's almost like the joke wants to be a certain way, and you can tell when it's wrong?
It's not that the joke wants. It's like it has to flow like this.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think the joke knows anything.
No, of course. It's your feeling.
Yeah,
about
the feeling. It's like a rhythm.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
don't
a
think the
music.
joke
It's like a
knows
musical
Yeah.
thing. It's like,
Yeah.
And sometimes you put another word in. This is a contradiction, what I just said, but you might put a word in to make the timing go a little bit more, even though that word is unnecessary.
Yeah.
But this is not like this. I'm not thinking of this.
It's not conscious.
It's only like when I
instinctual.
talk to other comedians or talking about it.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking, well, this has to be like, it's just gut. It's gut.
Of course. You're making me think of the time, I like to pepper one-liners and they're like two-liners, if we're being honest, into my act. And you're making me think of what it feels like to kind of like a haiku, trim it, or a bonsai tree, trim it and get it. Like I had one where, I haven't thought of this joke in over 10 years. I go, I bought a paper shredder. It came with a manual. So that was the first to go.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Yes.
But I bought a paper shredder. It came with a manual. I thought it was funny that it came with a manual. That's ruining it. It's like pulling the bow back. It's too goofy.
Oh, you mean you thought it was funny it came with a manual, then you took that out?
I took that out. Like, why are you talking about it?
That's delaying the whole...
Get to it.
The end.
Get to it. My favorite, sorry to talk about my own, but I do want to talk about yours if you have favorites
go
that come to
ahead.
mind. They go, this is one of the first jokes in my first 5 years of stand-up that I got that sensation that you're talking about, where I was like, they'll have to like this. You know what I mean? Like, they'll have to.
Now, wait a minute.
Of course it'll kebab.
I don't never know which ones they'll like.
No, I didn't either. But I was like, once it started becoming reliable, I got emboldened.
Okay.
Not when I wrote it, after I tried it. But it was, what do you think the employee discount is at the dollar store? I go, do you think it's just take it? What a dream come true to get you to laugh. What if you hated it after I talked about how it was bulletproof?
That's hilarious.
I'll tell you a secret. For years, to make sure my hair would look good, if I had like a premiere or a movie or whatever, something fancy, I just wouldn't wash it. That was my secret. And then one day, Kat, my hairstylist, was cutting my hair, and she said, putting a comb through your hair is like putting it through wet cement. It's disgusting, and it's not clean, and it's gross. So you need to wash it. But the problem was, when you use shampoo, it looks like a bale of hay. It looks horrible. It's fluffy, it's puffy, then you have to put all these products in it. It looks like crap, and I hate it. Then I found Modern Mammals. It's a literal game changer. It's a non-shampoo shampoo. It's called Magic Mud. You run it through your hair, it feels just like shampoo. You rinse it out, and then it looks perfect. That's really true. It looks perfect. It gives you that flow. It's almost as if you already have a little bit of product in it. Why? Because it leaves just enough natural oils in your hair so it is manageable and looks perfect every time. 6 seconds to perfect hair. No more poof. No more wild, out of control, and you get that flow. You get that natural thing that you're looking for where it looks like you didn't wash it, but it's clean. Now Kat's happy. I look good. I'm happy. I'm never going back. Over 40,000 guys have switched to Modern Mammals instead of traditional shampoo, and they lose their minds. There are so many 5-star reviews. Once you try it, you will be hooked for life. I certainly am. 6 seconds to perfect hair. And you can try the bar, which is a great way to travel. It's pH balanced and there's no plastic. And the bottle, which is more of a traditional Magic Mud goo, like a shampoo goo, a sham goo. Try both for $44. Go to modernmammals.com/weird and get the combo deal where you try both kinds of Modern Mammals for $44. It lasts a really, really long time too. modernmammals.com/weird, or give it as a gift this holiday season to any person you know with hair? That's a pretty wide demo. Also, speaking of great gifts, I was given a Shakti mat. I say Shakti. A Shakti mat for Christmas one year. And I absolutely love it. And I'm actually kind of a tricky person to get gifts for. So if you're looking for a great gift idea this holiday season, the Shakti mat is an incredible one. It makes the person feel unique and seen. And who doesn't like to relax and feel good in their back and their body and their muscles and relieve that tension in a cool and interesting way? Because what is a Shakti mat? It's basically a bed of nails. I didn't misspeak. It's like a bed of nails. It is little pokey pokes on a mat. It's incredibly high quality. You lay down on it, and it's like a massage on demand. Like cold exposure therapy, it is a little weird at first. It's a little shocking, but then you melt into it. It improves circulation, and it relieves tension in muscles. So yeah, I like massage. I'm still going to get massage. But massage is tricky, man. It's expensive. You got to carve out all this time. Then you're covered in oil. Now you got to shower. A Shakti mat, if I'm noticing tension in my shoulders, in my triceps, in my lower back, and I want to feel relief in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, lay on it. I whip my shirt off, I lay on it. Sometimes I stand on it, which is incredible on your feet. There's all those acupressure points. Feels fantastic. The stress melts away and it's there. It's easy, it's clean, it's fast. It's like deep tissue work right there on demand. I've tried other kinds of mats. There's no comparison. Shakti is the sharpest on the market and the only ones that work for me. Handmade in India by people paid fairly and with the highest quality materials. I can vouch for that. Deeper sleep, stress relief, muscle relaxation, better circulation, mental clarity, and just a general sense of well-being whenever you need it. Shakti mats are my secret weapon for reliable serenity and relief. Go to Shakti Mat, SHAKTIMAT.com, and use promo code WEIRD30, and you will get 30% off the mat. If that doesn't sound like your cup of tea, I guarantee someone in your life will love it. They'll laugh, they'll try it, they'll thank you. Go to shaktimat.com, use promo code WEIRD30. All right, back to the show. But that musicality, right? What do you think the employee discount is? And it's like a rest on the music. It's like there's a rest at the dollar store. They think it's over. Do you think it's just take it? The music of that, right? Are we speaking the same language?
Yeah, the rhythm of it.
The rhythm feels good to say, and I like the part where they probably think it's over.
I didn't think it was over.
Oh, you didn't? Well, no. You're a genius.
No. I didn't think it was over, but I was wondering, well, what is he going to do? $1 is $1, so it's going to be less than $1. He's got to come up with some percentage of the dollar. Yeah. That's what I thought you were going to do. Yeah. And then when you said just take it, you went to completely the percentage of just take it. I was like, oh my God. That's the most extreme discount. Yeah. And I didn't see it coming, and that's
and the implication being that everything there sucks anyway, so that the owners would be like, just take it. Who cares? So there's kind of like a making fun.
I don't think that everything's...
I think a lot about comedy. Maybe I'm thinking too much about comedy.
No, I'm talking about the dollar store.
Oh, I see.
I don't know if everything sucks. I mean, I'm not here I am now. What am I? I'm defending the dollar store. You said you want to go on the podcast. It can't all suck.
So surely something at the dollar store is of quality.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first one you wrote where you were like, or the first joke that after you told it, you were like, oh, that's reliable. That's my...
I never knew which ones, still don't know which one they will laugh at.
Really?
Even from the beginning. I never thought this will definitely work. I learned early on that my opinion is meaningless of what it's going to be because you can't tell. You can't tell. For me, 1 in 3... or 1 in 4 that I write will get a big enough laugh to stay in. And to this day, I can't say, they can't.
Yeah. Well, you've been doing it too long. We're always wrong. Can you think of one? Not always.
What do you mean we're wrong? What are you
we can fool ourselves. There have been many times where I go on stage and I'm like, wait till they get a load of this one, and it bombs.
See, I've never had that.
Yeah.
I've never had wait till they hear this. What?
You're just helping me realize how insane it is that I do. That I'm like, oh, I'm like a supervillain. Wait till they hear this one.
No, but your experience is a whole other thing. Yours is that. That's how you are experiencing the whole thing. That's my experience was, I don't know, and I hope they laugh at this. I hope they laugh at this. I just hope.
Yeah, all of your
not like yes, never, not once. Why is that funny to you?
I just talked to way more comedians that are like, I'm gonna like. I think of a karate guy kicking a board. That's how they think of their jokes. And
before the new ones, you mean?
Maybe.
I'm talking new.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not talking when they already work.
But they have that confidence. A lot of kids seem to have it.
That's
I don't know.
That's cool.
I know what you're saying too. Anything come to mind as a joke that you were like, you tried it and tried it and tried it, and it just never made them laugh the way it tickled you?
Yes, I had one in there for a long time that did. Oh shit! Now I'm not gonna remember what it is. But I kept it in anyway, even though logically it should have been removed. If the jokes are like a baseball team, this joke was batting like 85, and he couldn't. I have a 3-time rule. If it doesn't work 3 times, I throw it away. If it works 3 times, then I think I can count on it.
Yeah.
Even if it works once, you don't know really. It might have been a fluke.
Yeah.
But I've had some in there that I left in way past 3 times.
Yeah.
Just for my own. I don't even know. Just because I liked it, but I didn't love it. I didn't even love it. I just left it in.
Yeah.
I guess for my own amusement.
Yeah.
I wish I could tell you what it is. I can't remember.
No, don't worry
about
about that. I feel very strongly about this. I feel like there's some jokes that won't work at like a random show, but might really work at your special taping or someplace where they really know you and really understand you. And like, I'm very careful to not cut a joke. I've had that happen where like you do it in the club. I'm in Cincinnati. It just doesn't work. But then I do it when I'm taping my special. And now with the way the internet is, it'll get picked up. And now it's getting passed around to hundreds of thousands of people that like that kind of thing. But it's hard to get all of those people into one club on one night.
You mean you'll do it in Cincinnati or some club and it won't work many times?
Yeah.
And then but you still like it enough that I'm going to do it during a tape?
I know what the joke is.
But during a taping, you're going to think, I'm going to put, that's fascinating.
And then it becomes like an icon. I don't want to say iconic, but it becomes a joke that people really love because it's so precious and fragile. They feel special that they get it, maybe? I don't know. That's interpreting too much. The joke was this. I want to tell you because I think you'll think it's stupid.
Wait a minute. Why do you want to tell me if you think I think
because
it'll be stupid?
It'll illustrate my point. You'll see when I say it. You'll see why it won't work in Cincinnati, and it's not Cincinnati's fault. I go. It's an attitude joke. I have to yell it. I'm not going to yell it now, but I go. Unicorn. It has one horn. How about unicorn? It has no corn. That was the joke. I would just yell this. A lot of it, the point of it was that I'm getting really worked up. People now,
I like that.
They like, I think I might have fucked it up. I might have gone, unicorn. How about unihorn? It has no corn.
Yes.
Right? Is there a single kernel of corn hidden in its yellow mane? Is that part of the mythology? This was a joke, died a dirty death a million times. And even as I say it now, I'm like, it's not bulletproof. I did it on the special. That became a joke that people felt like in the club if they liked that joke. They request it, they want to hear it, they like unicorn. Isn't that weird?
That's fascinating.
Yeah. But it's not reliable. So I guess this is my question to you.
What do you mean? It doesn't work all the time?
Yeah, that's exactly
Even after the special?
Yeah. Well, I retired it after the special, but I still think even if I did it as an encore at some show, it still might not work. It's not a bulletproof joke. So that's my question to you is there a risk of cutting a joke that maybe could have had a life elsewhere just because it didn't work 3 times? Do you ever worry about that?
No, but ones that barely pass the test, that like get like a 3 on a scale of 1 to 10, a 3 or a 4. maybe they were borderline being thrown out, but I didn't throw them out. Sometimes they can grow more somehow.
Yeah.
Maybe you're used to saying it, or somehow they can become a better batter.
Yeah. If you bench them for a while.
No, you leave them in. You leave them in,
in.
and then it can grow. I don't know why that is. It must have to do with how you're saying it.
Yeah. Have you ever brought one back from retirement? You're like, I think they're ready. I think they're ready now.
Well, not one. You mean one that didn't work?
Yeah.
Like,
Give it another try.
No.
It's interesting. This might be my issue. I always sometimes, well, not always, but I sometimes will be like, it was the night. It was what was going on in politics. It was too close to the holidays, or
that's why one night is not a good test.
Yeah,
that's why for me it's 3.
Yeah,
because it could have worked a fluke that night, and then it never works ever again.
Yeah. Do you remember then the first joke that you wrote where you were like, a joke that you loved, that you were like, this is so reliable, it's so me, you feel like you found your voice?
See, we're having the same pattern here.
Yeah.
I like them all. Otherwise, I wouldn't write them down.
Right.
If I write them down because I like them, but there's never one that I'm like, this is definitely going to work.
Really?
Never. Like, never.
Because
I don't trust. I can't, because I've had an experience of, I barely remember when I thought this is going to work. If I ever thought this is going to work, that concept was gone in the first few months. Because you can't predict. So if I think of something and I write it down, I like it. That's why I wrote it down. And if I say it and they don't laugh 3 nights and I throw it away, I still think it's funny. I don't think I was wrong. They don't agree with me. And they're in charge. They're the editors. They're editing the show.
Yeah.
They're the editors.
Yeah.
But I don't think, oh, what was I crazy? That's not funny. I still think it's funny.
Right.
But they didn't agree with me.
But when it comes to building an hour or doing a set, like you have to go, okay, I want to open strong. So you're going to pick one that you like more, or maybe is more reliable.
They all, by the time you're doing a special or something, or a concert, you know that it all works.
Right. But there wasn't one that you were like a particular...
This has to be the opening?
No. I guess what I'm looking for, I guess maybe this is not true, but when you have these jokes like baseball players, I'm wondering if there was ever a joke that you were particularly fond of. The crowd liked it and you liked it and you kind of couldn't wait to tell it. That's all I'm wondering. Like a little favorite.
Maybe a slight, I can't wait. Like, it would be good if this worked. Not like, I'm so excited about this one. No.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. This discussion is very interesting. The different perspectives. It's like, my version is I have no idea, and I am just hoping.
Yeah. Even after all these years.
Yeah. I still can't predict.
Because when I saw you, we did the show together at the Garden, at the Boston Garden, and you murdered. I went up with particular interest because it was a show, you remember, Mulaney, Bobby Kelly, like guys up there slinging it, telling stories. Bobby did tell a story that was like, it wasn't a shit your pants story, but it might as well have been. And then you went up and you do what you do, and it killed. I think you had the set of the night.
Thanks.
I mean, you had to, I guess maybe more interestingly, is you're doing it with, don't let me put words in your mouth, but it seems like there's a humility and a honoring of it. Like the audience has their say. It's not about your ego. It's not about you feeling good, special scene. I feel like you don't get off stage and go like, I killed. They really saw me. You know what I mean? And that is it. That's the difference. I get off stage. I go, I feel seen. Like that's the difference in our generations maybe, or just our temperaments. I'm not sure.
I don't think it's a generation. I think it's just different people.
Yeah.
Like, that's very interesting. I see I see like an 80-minute show it's like you running across a lake of thin ice. And as you're going, it takes 80 minutes to run to the other side, and it's breaking behind you.
Yeah.
You break, and you're hoping you don't fall in, like, and then, sometimes you hit a thing and you fall and you gotta get up, but forget that part. It's just like breaking behind you till the other side. I see it as like a tightrope walk, like just it, because the jokes are so short, and it's like they're gonna laugh at this, laugh at this. Even when everything works, it's still like, well, how is it gonna work? Which version of it is gonna work? I'm just trying. I'm not like. It's fascinating. I'm just trying to get to the other end without having a catastrophe.
Yeah.
I'm not going like, I'm gonna kill them.
Yeah.
I'm trying to survive. I'm running through a minefield.
Yeah.
And I want to get to the other side.
That is really funny. Yes, that's really funny. I'm looking
it's
for
dangerous to me.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's not entirely pleasant.
It isn't entirely pleasant. There is a lot of pleasant, the rush of it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing like being on stage. There's
Yeah.
nothing when you're either on there or you're not. There's nothing that reminds you of it.
Yeah,
to me, it's nothing that feels. Oh, this is like it's.
You're so right.
There's no other place like it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the laughs when they're huge and the audience is loving it. That's very thrilling and very exciting.
Yes.
But it can go wrong so easily. It's like, to me, it's like in the movies, if they were flying a plane through, you were talking about planes, and through turbulence.
Yeah.
Like the flak when they're shooting at you from the ground, and the plane.
Yeah.
Here you go. Because the set goes up and down, like this, and then. It's fascinating, the difference of how you have much more see it differently and much more enjoyable. I'm not saying I love it.
Yeah.
But there's danger in it. You seem like it's more of a fun thing for you. I'm happy for you.
Maybe, but it's also I wonder if it's more painful. I'd like to hook us both up to EKGs or something. Like
right now? Or?
No. Oh. I wish I had that. When I bomb, I feel rejected. Like if you're a comedian like me and I'm really trying to like connect, I'm trying to like groove and merge us all together and have us looking at the world exactly the same and like understanding each other, not just them to me, but me to them. If that doesn't happen, it can be very painful. When you bomb, do you feel existential dread, or are you just like, well, I guess they didn't think I was funny?
I just think they didn't like those jokes. I feel bad that they didn't like them, but I don't feel like negative about me as a person.
Yeah.
It was about the joke I created.
See, that's the cost. You're looking at it very clean and honest. I admire what you're doing. I'm out there getting sloppy and letting my heart get in the mix. And when you're doing that, you're showing your neck. They can hurt you more. And I really admire that you're like, well, let me ask you, do you look at it almost like a service? Like you're doing a service for them? Like, No. I mean, like, let me help you laugh. Let me entertain you.
No.
How do you look at it?
I'm trying to write things that I hope they laugh at, but it's not like the fact that laughing is a powerful thing and relieves tension in people's lives and everything. That's a secondary result of it. I'm just trying to write something that they laugh at.
Yeah.
The fact that that's all. That's it.
Because that's the job. Because that's what they asked you to do.
Job. It's like that's what this thing is.
Right.
This thing of being my version of being a comedian.
Yeah.
The fact that they get so much joy out of it is almost like that's after the. It sounds kind of cold, actually.
No, it doesn't.
I'm just trying to. It's so simple, really. It's so. just trying to make them laugh.
Yeah. And if that,
But if when
please.
thing, when if it doesn't go, a lot of new jokes don't work. I don't feel bad about myself. I just feel disappointed that they didn't work. And when a show goes great, I feel good about it. Like I ran across the lake and I got to the other side and wow, that went and it's over now. It's over.
yeah, I know what you mean.
Like guys who when you do a show like with this, you're supposed to do like 10 minutes. Say there's 10 guys for some like the thing we were on.
Yeah.
Or any show where a comedian's going to do 10 minutes. And some guys, they go 11, 12, 15 minutes. I have always been like, let me just get to the 10. As soon as I hit it, I'm gone. I'm gone.
You've never burned the light.
Because I survived.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, hey, let me walk through that minefield. Yeah. Sarge, we're over here. Let me walk through there. Wow.
That must be why it feels so good, though. That's your flow state. I just had an interesting conversation about the flow state. And the flow state?
No.
It's just what they mean when you're in the zone. When you're in and certainly when we're doing stand-up, you're in a zone. And you're not thinking about your life, you're not thinking about your problems, you're focused.
Yes.
So what you're doing has to be really difficult to draw that focus out of you. And you need to be getting real-time feedback, which is what stand-up is. But a line cook is also getting real-time feedback. Am I burning? He's cooking 30 burgers. Am I burning?
Yes.
So it drops you into a timeless, pleasant place. But I'll join you. We see this exactly the same way. I've said this, I don't really like doing stand-up as much as I like having done stand-up. I like the feeling after I've done it. Like you're saying, after you've gotten across the lake and now you can relax, it went well, and your body, your mind, you feel fantastic.
But I like doing it too.
No,
even though it's stressful.
I just said as much. I do like doing it, but I don't like it as much as having done it.
Oh.
Yeah. The day after a big show is a good time to ask me to borrow $100. And not just because I have $100 from the show, but because I'm in a fantastic mood. Yeah. Does that...
I got to see. I haven't seen what you do.
Yeah.
This is like... I should have probably watched what you do.
No, that's not your job. You're the guest. And
Yeah,
I already
I know,
gave you
but
my
I mean-
white hot unicorn routine. I'm giving you the best of the best. My favorite one-liner, to give you another one, is, you ever have to poop so bad you pee second? I don't think I've ever written so few words. See, this is my ego. You ask me my favorite one-liners, I'll give you 7. I ask you, you're like, they're all, we just try and we don't know. And I'm like, you want my favorites? Here's my 7 favorites in order.
No, but you didn't ask me my favorites.
I thought I was.
Yeah, well, you were, and then we got sidetracked. There's one that I love the most,
Yeah, tell me.
and interesting. It's not a short, regular joke that I'm known for.
Yeah,
and it's that I went to. Then I'll explain later why I like it so much, because I said I went to my grandfather's wake, and I was kneeling down at the casket. And I started thinking about the batteries in my flashlight. Do you know this joke?
No.
I started thinking about the batteries in my flashlight and how, and then I was wondering, maybe he's not dead. Maybe he's just in the wrong way.
That is like the dollar store one. I didn't know. Your brain starts projecting its guess, which is part of the fun of a joke. I'm like, okay, he's going to say, what's he going to say? And then by the time you're saying it, it's like falling in a delightful hole or something. I love that joke so much.
Thank you. That's my favorite one of all time.
Maybe he's just in the wrong way.
Yeah, maybe he's just in the wrong way.
Yeah.
Because of years of taking batteries out of like a Walkman or a Walkman, a radio, anything. You take the dead batteries out and you put them on the table. Then you take the open the pack of the new ones, and then the phone rings, and then you go over there, and then you come back. When you can't tell by looking at a dead battery and a live battery, you can't tell the difference. So you have to be very, aware of what you're not thinking this. You're just changing the batteries, but in hindsight, you have to, and that's happened over and over.
Yeah.
So writing material, I think, for everyone is like remember I was telling you, the brain's endless with information.
Yes.
Right? So information. And then your subconscious, to me, is like a factory. It's a factory that's working.
Yes.
And you don't even know that it's working. That's why you're walking down the street and you think of something. And it's like a trap door opens from your subconscious to your conscious. And it opens, and a guy says, "This just in." Yeah. And it's like, oh. And you think it's out of the blue, but there is no out of the blue. It's because you were working on it without knowing it. Yeah. So after years of changing batteries, sometime, I don't know why I wasn't at the grandfather's wake. I don't know why I was thinking of him at the wake. But then you have the body. The body is in the casket just like a battery is in the casket.
Yeah.
It's just like the... where you have the spring on the end with the battery. And he's just in there.
Yeah.
So, and it's not working.
Maybe
it's
his
not
head
working.
should be on the
maybe take him out, flip him around, put him in. Hey, let's go get some ice cream.
Which is so funny because I enjoyed that joke without considering maybe he's in the wrong way in the casket. I just thought, kind of like a more general way of saying maybe what makes him work is in the wrong way.
Oh,
his own batteries.
No, it was him in the
casket.
Yeah, he's like a real battery. And
this
kid is so innocent. It's a little kid. He's at the wake.
Yeah.
And maybe he's not dead. He doesn't want his grandfather to be dead.
Yeah.
Maybe if you turn him around, he's not dead.
Yeah, he's in the wrong way. I feel a little embarrassed that I didn't quite get it, but I still loved it.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't matter. You laughed. It doesn't matter that you didn't break it down like that. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I pictured him almost with batteries inside, and some of them are facing the wrong way.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was super weird, but I loved it. I got it immediately and loved it. And when you explained it, I was like, oh, of course that's what you meant. But you said, I told you this when we chatted at the airport. A line I think about is you say a joke is like painting a picture in someone else's mind. Do you remember saying something like that?
Yeah, when you read a book, you're like creating what you're reading, and when you're stand on stage, you're making little movies in their head. They're describing, they're picturing what you're saying. Yeah. That's just how naturally people communicate. Yeah. But that joke, the battery one, I'll tell you why I liked it so much, was because there was. I didn't think of it like a regular joke where the wording came quickly at all. This was very different. It didn't come in quickly at all. I knew we'd flip him in the casket and he would be alive, but it was like, well, how am I? And I was riding a bike when and my mom, I wasn't even thinking about it. And then, I know, because there's a lot of information in that joke. Yeah. But I figured out how to say all the information, again, with the fewest words.
Yes.
But it's a way longer joke than my regular joke. But I still eventually figured it out, which was weird because they don't usually take any length to figure it out. And I think it was because there was a lot of information in that joke that had to be said with the fewest amount of words. So I was riding a bike and I go, oh.
Yeah. I have that too. Something about getting the blood flowing. I guess the blood goes to your brain and helps those trap doors open. Have you found that? I find that like driving, which I found like takes your mind off your body so you can daydream a little bit better. Showering. Are there places where like ideas tend to break through? Exercising, biking.
I love driving.
Isn't it great?
I love it. I absolutely love it because it's so soothing. It's so relaxed. The visual was constantly changing. Yeah. You're moving. You got music or the radio or nothing. Yeah. I love it. Exercise too. I love to ride a bike every morning, and then I have to. I'm addicted to it for like 33 years, riding a bike. Then I drink coffee, and then coffee is unbelievable. Coffee's like a powerful drug, and then my mind goes insane. So I have a good like an hour and a half window, having exercise, then drinking coffee like I'm a drug addict, but it's caffeine, and your mind's going like this.
Yes. Well, both of those stimulated you and got you going. I love the morning. Are you a morning person? It sounds like you are, which is interesting because we're comedians. I had to adjust to be able to do what we do at night. I have a line, I'm doing it on stage now. I go, do you have any idea how badly I'd like to do this job at noon? Like, are you nuts? You got me out here. I go, you got me keeping pirate hours. I'm out here swashbuckling.
That's hilarious.
But you know what? I think what you see in it is it's deeply honest. You're supposed to be grateful and be like, I'm so glad you're here. And I'm like, I wish it was noon. And the people that know me know I mean it, right? It's like, man, it's hard to get all adrenalized and be done at 11:30 at night and try to go to bed, which is why there was so much. Well, you're from a crazy time in Boston. I mean, like, that scene, did you deliberately navigate around some of those? I'm talking about cocaine, I'm talking about booze, I'm talking about the lifestyle, the rock star lifestyle of comedy.
Yeah, wasn't the cocaine guy.
Yeah.
Just a little beer. Those days were amazing.
Yeah, you think of them fondly?
Absolutely, one of my favorite times in my whole life, because it was like the club opened in '79, 2 clubs. Nobody knew everyone started at once, and nobody knew what they were doing. Yeah. It was fantastic, and there were no managers, no agents. This is all in Fran Solomita's movie, like when Stand Up Stood Out, a great movie he made of that time.
Yeah.
It was like being on an island. There was no show business. There was just pure trying to want to do this, figuring it out.
Yeah. I relate. I started in Chicago, I started in Boston a handful of times, moved to Chicago. Same kind of thing. No agents, no managers. It was just the open mics that we would go to and trying to be funny, trying to make your friends laugh, trying to make the crowd laugh. But you're making me feel nostalgic because that purity, I mean, imagine that was our only concern, was being funny that night. Just doing well. Nobody was like, yeah, I might do that on Fallon. I don't know. Like nobody, you couldn't say that.
You weren't at that level. Like, it was very innocent and absolutely pure.
Yeah. And '79 is before the comedy boom. I mean, that happened.
Right when before. Like, then it started in the early 80s.
Yeah.
Like a year, like 80, 81, there was so many clubs you could do 3 sets in one night.
Wow. In Boston? Well, there was Dick Doherty's, right?
Yeah, there was Dick Doherty's.
And the Ding Ho.
There was the Ding Ho in Cambridge, and then there was the Comedy Connection in Boston. That was the first. That was the first
one. In Faneuil Hall, right?
Then it moved to Faneuil Hall.
Oh, okay.
But originally, it was in the theater district.
Yeah. What comes to mind when you think about that time? You're smiling.
Just the simplicity and the innocence going in the club. I just smiled thinking of that club. Just absolute beginning. You going on instincts. Just very innocent.
Yeah. And not even getting paid, right? I mean, you do the spots.
Well, you do the open mics for several times, and then when you did get paid, I think it was like $8.
Wow. $8. I still have the first $10 I got paid framed.
Do you really?
Office.
That's great. Where was that?
A guy named Dave Odd, who was a comic who booked shows, local shows.
In Chicago?
In like all around Chicago, in the suburbs. But I did it, and I don't know if you know Hannibal Buress or.
Oh my God! I wanted to bring him up.
Really?
Yes, that guy. I wanted to bring up one comedian, and it was him.
What, the chicken bucket head?
Because I saw him about 4 years ago in Boston, and that guy is so brilliant.
Wow,
that I was just like, oh my God.
I agree.
I mean, I love him and Bill Burr, of course, and like there's a lot of great guys, and Jim Gaffigan.
Yeah.
But that guy really stuck in my head for years. In fact, I mean, you know, your mind is like full of so much stuff, and he came into my head the other day when I knew I was going to do this with you. Just him floated up.
Wow.
And I thought I have to mention that guy.
Wow. And we started together.
You did?
Yeah. So 2001 in Chicago.
Wow.
And that was one of the guys, Kumail Nanjiani and Hannibal. I'm going to forget people, but wonderful people, Kyle Kinane, all started in this little scene. And Hannibal was one of those guys. And then he just figured it out and got so
Brilliant.
fucking good.
Absolutely brilliant.
He's amazing. Yeah. Yeah, different kind of mind. I mean, different in the best possible way. He thinks about things abstractly and brilliantly. He's going to be so bummed that we edit that out of the episode, though. He's going to be pissed. And you know what's weird is I'm going to tell him. We edited something Stephen Wright said about you that was nice, but we took it out.
Are you in touch with him at all?
A little bit.
Tell him I said hello.
I will, yeah. No, I'll send him this clip if that's okay.
Yeah,
I'm sure
yeah. I
it'll make
remember I
his
went
day.
backstage. I met him briefly, said hi to him.
Yeah.
It was something else.
I
It
love
was in the Wilbur Theater in Boston.
Yes. That's my favorite place. Do you perform at the Wilbur when you go home?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
In fact, I saw him before that with Louis was in Louis C.K. in Chicago.
Yeah.
At a theater, and he had all these guests. I did like 5 minutes. He had some other people do 5 minutes. And Hannibal was one of them. That's how I even ever saw him. And then I was aware that a few months later he was going to be at the Wilbur. So I went into town to see him at the Wilbur.
Wow, that's incredible. I love that.
And it was just incredible.
Wow. That's so fun. He's going to be thrilled, I'm sure. So it's interesting, these comics that you're mentioning that you like, Carlin, Hannibal, were you ever tempted, did you ever try it to break out of the style and just talk to the folks? Like do a bit, not like a Stephen Wright bit, but just break it.
No, but I want to talk about, I mean, Bill Burr is like, he's from another planet of creativity. He's amazing. He's amazing also. Yeah. But I never, like, I'm prolific. I don't know how his mind
thinks of that much stuff.
I really respect what he's doing and what he's done. It's just incredible.
Bill is why I have a special. I just want to shout that out. I had a Netflix special. It's because Bill produced it. Basically,
really?
Walked it in. He's one of the first people I opened for.
Oh,
Jim
wow.
Gaffigan. I got so lucky. My friend Dan Kaufman, who was in Chicago, got me 2 gigs emceeing. First one was Jim Gaffigan. What? Second one was Bill Burr. Neither of those guys were big at the time. It was like before they blew up, and here we are, me and Bill in Peoria, Illinois. He always killed, but I was eating shit. You know what I mean? He was always killing, but not in the way you would have been shocked. Like, he was doing what he does now, but it's like the culture hadn't yet, I don't know how to, they didn't know what to do with him, meaning he wasn't murdering how he murders now, but he was doing the same thing, if that makes sense. And then it's like, the culture caught up to him.
That's what I was
He was
say.
always excellent, and I was watching it, and don't get me wrong, everyone was dying. But now I'm like, if they had seen that exact same show, people would be lighting mattresses on fire and doing backflips. You know what I mean? So I got to be with Bill, and he was so kind to me, and he still is.
That's
so
nice.
Kind.
Wow.
And Jim too. I got so lucky with the people I got
and
to
those
open
two
for.
of the guys I mentioned. I didn't
Isn't
even
that
know.
crazy?
I didn't even know you knew them.
But Stephen, I mentioned Hannibal kind of out of nowhere. That was like a weird mind meld we had.
It is, and I'm so glad because he was in my mind yesterday thinking I'm going to talk about him today, and then it slipped my mind, and then you bring him up out of one guy. I mean,
That's really weird. That's really weird.
I was in Peoria, Illinois, many years ago. But what I remember about that town is I went to the factory where they make the tractors, the cat the cat tractors.
Yeah, sure.
That's what I remember of that town. You went around and showed, you got a tour of the
factory.
factory.
You want to see where we make the tractors? Not really. Well, then we don't have anything to do.
No. I look
ideas.
up like what's around because I love like machinery.
That was your thing.
Yeah,
you liked it.
like how, I'm just fascinated by it.
Yeah.
So you're talking and you say Peoria, Illinois, and then you
yeah.
continue talking about
And
Bill and stuff, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, the cat factory.
The tractors. I think that's where Richard Pryor's from. They say
Really?
that comics used to say, "Will it play in Peoria?" But I
Oh,
always
yeah.
Is that a thing you've heard?
Yes, a long time ago.
Yeah.
But even before my generation,
That's what I think.
Like way back.
It's like a vaudevillian. Will it play in Peoria? Like they said it like that. To continue with plane metaphors, we can start our descent.
Yes, before we start
Yeah.
descending, I want to mention some other comedians in Boston. Tony V.
Oh yeah.
Tony V is extremely brilliant and prolific.
Yeah.
And Kenny Rogerson and my great friend Mike Donovan.
Yeah.
So all those guys have extremely unique minds.
Yes.
Steve Sweeney, Don Gavin.
Yes. I love that. And we can keep that in, right? I mean,
Yes,
we're shouting them out.
yes.
Yeah.
This has been very interesting. When I left, I was like thinking how intense you are. What? Do you get that?
I'm feeling that. I'm as I'm talking to you, every once in a while I'll go, Jesus, I'm a bit much.
No, and I was thinking, I'm intense too, but I'm not. I don't usually have these conversations.
Yeah.
So I'm like I'm laid back, but an intense part of my mind is just on idle. It's like, but it is intense, But
Right.
talking to you was like, it brought out how. The intensity, you're so intense that my intensity came out.
Yes.
You didn't cause me to be intense, but it was just fascinating. The conversation was at such a heightened, to me, this might be normal to like this. This is not a normal conversation. Not what we were talking about, the intensity.
I know you
It was at such a really exciting level, like intense.
Yeah. We see that a
Enjoyable
lot.
too. All the analyzing, breaking down the fragment of it.
Yeah.
We were breaking down, doing the comedy, but the comedy is breaking down.
Yeah.
The world.
Yeah. That's right. We're breaking down the breaking down. Yeah. And if you don't mind me saying, we were laughing. We took a little break. How funny it is that I did just meet you in the airport, and like you were saying,
wild.
like
It was Saturday. Today is Sunday.
Saturday. And I was like, well, you were saying, if you don't mind me quoting you, you're like, I don't do that. I don't do a podcast. 3 days.
Meet the guy in the airport.
Yeah, 3 days. That's insane. I just drooled on myself. That's insane.
I just felt connected to you. We were in Logan Airport, and the plane was going to board in a few minutes.
Yeah. And you had no bags.
Correct.
Well,
I checked my luggage, but I have no carry-on. It's all in my jacket, like Harpo Marx.
Yeah, that's right.
Harpo Marx had all his stuff. I travel as if Harpo Marx would be traveling.
Fewer gags. Mostly, your phone, something to read. Yeah, so we started on travel style. But it occurred to me afterwards, I was like, how did that come together? How did this come together? I'm really glad it did. Then I was saying maybe it's because I'm a Boston guy.
Yeah, you said we did that show, like at the garden.
Yeah.
And then...
Because I was like, sorry.
And then you did mention you were from Lexington. I don't know, I just felt connected to you.
But not to break it down too much, but I was like, that's what it is it was like, hey, Steven... And I want to quickly be like, I'm not just a fan. I want to say, we did I think the first thing I said, we did a show together at the Garden.
Yes.
And then I go, I'm from Lexington, I'm a comic, are you going to LA? So you're trying to very quickly say, please don't be freaked out.
Well,
We've met.
You did it. It was like when you said did a show, okay.
Yeah, and you said the Leary show.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that was the one with Bobby Kelly and Mulaney.
The great Dennis Leary.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All at the Garden.
I know. That was a really fun night. Michael J. Fox was there, I remember.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah, we only talked a little. And I told you my parents were there. Because these are my beans to spill, so I feel comfortable saying. I was telling you that whenever I go home, I always feel like it's like time travel or something. Suddenly I'm a child again. And I was like, my dad came and saw me at the Boston Garden performing for how many tens of thousands of people. He was there. And yet when I go home...
Doesn't matter. Well, my analogy is like Neil. You could be Neil Armstrong. Like if your parents still treat you like, if I had been Neil Armstrong and it was on the moon, and then came back, and then a few months later I went to visit home, and I walked in, my mother would say, "You were just on the moon. Wipe your feet."
That moon dust out of there.
That's it, because that just sums it up, because it doesn't matter what you did.
Yeah.
Your feet are dirty.
Yeah.
And you're the child, and you're coming in the house.
Yeah.
That's what happened when you did the garden, right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Although I will say my parents have updated there is some respect and appreciation. You know what I mean? They can sometimes glimpse me as a grown-up.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Little progress here and there, which, now that I'm a dad, I understand. It'll be hard. It'll be an adjustment when my daughter is on the moon. That'll be weird for me.
Well, can we, I really enjoyed this, but can
wrap it up.
This be the end?
Yeah, this can be the end. Absolutely.
Thanks for having me.
Can I compliment you as a person who says what they want? And this whole time, you were like, this is how I'd like it to be. I'm glad to be here. Can this be the end? I've never had a guest say that. And as the host, honestly, I would die if you were like, I'd really like this to be the end, and it wasn't. So I'm so happy that you said it.
No problem.
And I want to say, you said all these nice things to you. You're one of the greats. Thank you for being as kind as I hoped you were, and for taking the time to do this.
Thank you very much.
From running into me at the airport.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Would you say, this is absurd, but we have the guests say, keep it crispy. It's how the show ends. It doesn't mean anything. But I would be honored if you would say, keep it crispy. But you can also say no.
What do you mean, right? Are you going to use that as a drop-in thing?
It's not even a drop-in.
Are you going to be, is when you're asking me to say...
That'll be in the show.
So when it ended, it didn't really end. Like, this is, like...
Oh, this will be the end. This moment where you say, keep it crispy will be the end.
But is it going to have the...
this is like Spaceballs.
Is it going to have the part where you're suggesting I say, keep it crispy?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if it's okay...
I just want to know what's happening.
It'll also include... Me too. It'll include the part where I say, can I just say as a guest that you stood up for yourself and I would die if we were doing... That'll all be in the show as well, if that's okay. Good. And then just to give it a sense of closure... Our thank you, good night is keep it crispy.
What does that even mean, though?
I think it's funny. It's just kind of like, keep it crisp, keep it light, keep it crunchy.
Am I saying this to you?
You can say it to anybody.
Keep it crispy.
Gives me a lot of joy to hear you say it.
You made it weird. You made it weird.